Hello, hello. This is Sachin Patel. Welcome to our very first Facebook Live in our fan page. I'm super excited. We've got almost 20,000 followers, people who are health seekers, people who are looking to get answers, people who are looking to reclaim their absolute best life and their best health. So I'm committed to helping you do that. If your goal is to live the best life possible, to be drug-free, to have abundant health, to have tons of energy, to serve your community, to be a role model for other family members, to be a role model for your community, to be a role model to your peers and to your colleagues, then this is certainly the right presentation for you. So this group is really an amazing accumulation and compilation of individuals like yourself, people who are looking to live out their best life and people who are looking to take things to the next level. All of you on this call probably recognize that there's a little bit more, there's a bit of an edge that you can get in life. There's a little bit more that you can get out of the current body that you have. And there's a little bit more that you can get out of the current life that you have. So, welcome, you're in the right place. I really honor you for joining me today. And I've put a lot of time and effort into sharing some of the thoughts and ideas that I have to share with you today. But before I get into all of this, I want to give people some time to tune in. While you're tuned in, while you're getting settled, what I'd love for you to do is let me know where you're from. I had all kinds of messages and notifications from people all over the world. Some of you are across the pond, some of you are in Australia, some of you in the UK, some of you are in India. So just go ahead and type in where you're from, the city where you're from. That'll be a huge help to me. Welcome, Christine. Thanks for joining us today. So go ahead, welcome Selena, welcome Jordan, welcome Jess. Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited. This is going to be a fun 30 to 35 minutes or so. If you're still getting settled, what I'd like for you to do is grab a paper and pen. You're going to hear a lot of nuggets that I'm going to be sharing with you. And actually, believe it or not, I actually have notes. These notes are going to keep me on track so I don't miss anything, but also so that I can make sure I get the message across to you. So we've got Sandra from Central Oregon State. Welcome, Sandra. We have Katya from lovely Florida. Welcome, Katya. Florida is one of my favorite states. Love the weather down there. My cousin just actually moved down there. She got married and is settling down in Florida, and she's loving it. It is hot in the summer, but she's loving the winters there. She moved from Detroit. So welcome all the way from Florida. So if you're tuning in, we're going to be covering some very valuable information that's really going to help you reclaim your health, no matter what stage of health you're in, whether you're somebody who's struggling with health significantly, whether you're somebody who's looking to learn more because there's something better out there for you, or even if you're a healthcare practitioner. If you're a healthcare practitioner, and this is going to be of particular interest to you because you're going to learn how to better articulate your message with your patients, and you're also going to get a sense of what people are looking for. I think what patients are looking for this day and age has changed significantly. So while everyone's getting settled in, go ahead and type in where you're from, type in the city that you're from. I'd love to give you a shout out and acknowledge you for tuning in and joining us today. And in just a few minutes, I'm gonna get started, and keep those hearts and likes coming. We always love to see those. So super exciting times, and we're gonna get rolling here in just a second. Like I said, I've got my handy notes because I want to make sure I don't miss a single point. Welcome, welcome everyone. And be sure to stay tuned in. We're going to be doing a lot of Q&A towards the end of this. Welcome Sandy from Welland, Ontario. We have Christine from King City. We have Selena all the way from Texas. And we've got Christine from New Jersey. Vanessa all the way from Brazil. I think Vanessa gets the ticket so far for the furthest attendee. We have Jess. Jess, thanks for joining us from Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And we've got Janelle from Urbana, Maryland. Love Maryland. Washington, great city. And then we've got Donna from Santa Barbara, Sukal from Mississauga, just around the corner. Welcome, Sukal. Thanks for joining us today. We've got Raylene. Welcome. And we've got Fabio. I know Fabio's here from LA. Welcome. We've got Jackie from BC. And Dane from Northport, Florida. Lots of Floridians here today. That's awesome. And Jordan, thanks for joining us from Collingwood. Awesome, beautiful Collingwood. How's the weather up there, brother? I hope it's beautiful. And we've got Georgianne from Cincinnati, Kim from Deerfield, Munira, all the way from Markham, where I grew up, so my hometown. And then we've got Carol from Brampton and Lauren from Sacramento. Hope everything's okay in California out there. I'm not sure how impacted you are, but let's get into this, guys and gals. This is going to be an action-packed night. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to answer your questions. My team is actually on this live feed, so if you have any questions, feel free to post them and we can come around to them later. But I want to make sure I get through this first so that I can answer your questions. I'll probably answer a lot of them throughout the presentation. So as I said, I'm super excited to be sharing with this information with you. And I want to teach you how to be your own best doctor. What I believe the world needs right now, and you can show me some hearts if you agree, the world does not need more doctors, the world needs more healthy people. So if you agree with that statement, then you're in the right place. If you agree that right now the world needs more healthy people and fewer doctors, which I believe is the only solution, right? More sick people and more doctors does not equal a healthcare solution. The vision that I see for the future is not people getting diseases, obscure diseases. You know, we just keep coming up with new names. There's over 10,000 diagnosable diseases. That's not the vision that I have for the future. The vision that I have for the future is people not getting these diseases in the first place. And if they do get these diseases, using their body as a tool, using their lifestyle to reverse engineer the problem, and doing it in such a way where there's no side effects. I think everyone wants that. But I think we've been so, conditioned to think that that's not possible. And so I'm not saying that I'm going to have that cure or that solution, because that's a future that I'm trying to create. But that's what I'm going to spend my entire life doing. Now, we've come very, very close. And I'm going to share with you the exact steps that we use in our practice and the exact steps that we use to train hundreds of doctors all over the world. We've been training practitioners in this methodology. So I'm going to share that secret sauce with you because I know in my heart of hearts that 80% of you watching this don't need another doctor. What 80% of you need is the tools that I'm going to give you today so that you can become your own best doctor. And the beautiful thing about that is that when we teach you these skills, when we teach you these principles, you're going to be able to teach them to your family, okay? So everyone is so focused on how to become independently wealthy. I want to teach you how to become independently healthy because health is the only wealth. And no matter how much money you have, you can spend it all trying to get healthy if you spend it on the wrong things. But if you focus on the right things, then you can achieve, true health, happiness, and abundance. So that's what we're going to teach you today. And I believe that ultimately the doctor of the future is the patient. That means you, okay? So we want you to stay as healthy and happy as possible because I believe that that's going to create the best world possible. When you are functioning at your absolute best, that's what creates the beautiful world that I want to live in and that your kids want to live in and your grandkids want to live in. And if you agree with that, then just let me know. If you agree that you functioning at your highest capacity creates the most beautiful world possible, then I want you to type in or just show me a little heart, show me a little love, show yourself a little bit of love, honor yourself for being here today. So thank you for joining me, and I'm super excited. But before I get into this, I want to share a little bit about myself. Many of you have never met me before in person. Some of you have met me in person, and thank you for being here. So I actually graduated in 2004 as a chiropractor, and I graduated ready to change the world. I got my dream job working in a sports clinic, and so for a couple of years I was working in this clinic and just had amazing results. We were treating some of the healthiest people in our community, people who are marathon runners, Ironman athletes, professional baseball players, Olympic athletes, people who are performing at their peak were coming to us to get even a little bit better. Or trying to get rid of some nagging injuries. I still remember this. I had once had a patient complain that he couldn't run less than a 3-hour marathon. So if you think about how healthy these people are, there's some of the best specimens of athletes that the community had to offer. And then in 2006, I was on the news in a good way. I want to frame that. They did a story about our clinic all about elbow pain. So I still remember this lady, Connie. She came into our office, she went to all kinds of surgeons and physiotherapists, and nothing helped except the technique that we were using called active release technique. So the news came and did a little report on us. They did a story on us, and it aired in November during the sweep season. And the story just caught on like wildfire. And that day, I'll never forget, 5 o'clock, it was about 5:20 or so, and the phone just wouldn't stop ringing. So people were watching the news, and they were immediately calling our office trying to make appointments. And we scheduled about 80 appointments just from that one news airing in that one day. But here's the thing, as these people started coming in, our waiting room completely transformed. We went from seeing athletic individuals to then seeing some of the sickest people in our entire community. People were coming in walkers, people were coming in with family members, holding them up and propping them up. Some people were so sick they couldn't even fill out their intake forms. And it just breaks your heart to see this. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, how am I gonna help these people? Like, I've never seen people this unwell in my entire life. So as I started interviewing these individuals, they're coming in with things like rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. I had one gentleman, he was on 16 Tylenol per day for 10 years. We did the math, it would have been a pile, like that would have buried us. And so he was taking 16 Tylenol every day for the last 10 years. These were the type of people that were coming in to see me. So I went from treating elite athletes in one moment to treating some really, really unwell people. But here's the thing, here's what broke my heart. I didn't know how to help these people. I had no idea what to do with them because this was not my field of expertise. But here's what I also realized in that moment is that neither did their doctors. So the people that they were seeing also had no idea how to help them, and that's why they were in my office desperately seeking help. I had no business, they had no business being in a chiropractor's office, in a sports chiropractor's office after all, because playing sports was like on their wish list. They probably wish they could have played tennis, or they wish their problem was not running a 3-hour marathon. Their problem was barely being able to get out of bed. So once I realized that nobody was helping these people, I started doing some investigation and started doing some research. How many of you have ever had a child feel unwell? My son is 8, and knock on wood, he's actually never been unwell. He's had a few sniffles here and there, but for the most part, he's been extremely healthy. And when I see him a little bit down under the weather, it breaks my heart, especially knowing that there's only so much that you can do. But when patients come in desperately seeking help, and when you have to turn them away, that's one thing. But if you have to turn them away and you don't know where to send them, that's a completely different thing. So right around that time in 2006, about 12 years ago, I started doing some online research, and I stumbled across functional medicine. It was by pure serendipity. I'm sure that's happened to you before. When the student is ready, the master appears. So I started learning about functional medicine through who would later become my mentor, Dr. Ron Grisanti. And he started sharing case studies of the exact same scenarios that were presenting in my office, where he was actually getting amazing results with these individuals, reversing their chronic health challenges by getting to the root cause. And I said, wow, what a concept, because chiropractic is based on getting to the root cause. We were focused on getting to the structural root cause, whereas functional medicine and lifestyle medicine focuses on the behavioral root causes and also the biochemical root causes of illness. So this paradigm made complete sense to me. It was a no-brainer. It aligned with my philosophy. It made sense to me at a cognitive level. And we had the science and the evidence to actually individualize care for each and every single patient. So I started using this principle on the athletes that I was working with. And guess what? The athletes got better. They got faster. They got stronger. They started running sub 3-hour marathons because we worked on their chemistry along with their structure. So, fast forward a little bit, I was being groomed to take over this practice, and I had to walk away from it because it wasn't what I wanted to do. I knew exactly how I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people by working on the things that they can change, working on the things that would help keep people out of my office. Because I realized when I started looking at the statistics, millions, tens upon tens of millions of people have chronic health diseases, and the majority of these diseases are caused by poor lifestyle choices or poor cognitive factors, and some of the things we're going to talk about today. So today I'm going to share with you the secret sauce of how we get our patients well. And this is what motivates me. So, in 2011, we started a functional medicine clinic in Cincinnati, Ohio. A few years after that, I moved back to Toronto, and we started a clinic here. We've got, some amazing practitioners that work on our team. And now I spend my time training about 150 practitioners all over the world, teaching them this method of care. So the things that I'm going to teach you today are the things that we actually teach practitioners. So whether you're just starting out, whether you've been in the game for a while looking for answers, or whether you're a healthcare provider, you're going to find a lot of value in this program today. So, working with thousands of patients, I'd like to share with you some of the things I've learned. I've shared that I've learned that our system, our healthcare system, unfortunately does not empower people. So when you go to a healthcare provider, or when you go to the hospital, or when you go to a traditional healthcare practitioner, very few people walk away feeling empowered. In fact, all of that power is delegated away to a pill, whether that's a supplement or whether that's a medication. So automatically, what the patient assumes is that the body cannot fix itself, and we need some sort of outside intervention in order to fix it. And there's nothing further from the truth. I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do immediately today. We also have a system that does not look for the root cause of the disease. Instead, it seeks out how to treat and manage the symptom. Now, the problem with that is that your condition actually gets worse over time. But the other problem with that is it creates dependency. So the cost of healthcare keeps increasing. Now, here's the thing. There are medications that help people, so the intention is not to vilify medications, but what I want you to know is that very few, if any, medications actually make somebody healthier. Yes, they manage symptoms. Yes, they can relieve the pain or discomfort that you're in. Trust me, I had my wisdom teeth pulled, and I was pressing that morphine button as often as I could. I don't like pain as much as you do, but you always want to look for the cause. You always want to feel empowered with what's going on. So the system doesn't look for the cause, it treats the symptom, which then creates dependency, right? So this is why people have to take their medications every day. For how long? For the rest of their life. And now here's what also happens. As they rot on the inside, other conditions develop, other diseases develop, and as a result of that, they're put on more symptom managing medication. So it's great for the system, great for the economy, but horrible for the end user. Medicine is one of those things that it can save your life, but it can also destroy your life if you're not paying attention to the responsibility that you have as a patient. I also believe, and I'm sure you guys believe this as well, is our system does not promote health. Okay, there's very little in our system that actually promotes health. You can't go to a doctor and say, hey doc, I'm pretty healthy, what can you do for me? There's nothing that they can do for you. There's lots of people that go to the doctor and get blood work done. They feel terrible. They're like leaning over in pain or discomfort or debilitating fatigue, and the doctor tells them everything looks normal. I mean, this happens all the time. Maybe we're looking in the wrong places. I also believe that our current system, it works under certain circumstances, but as the nature of diseases change to chronic illnesses and chronic diseases, we really don't have an infrastructure and system that handles that. We've got a great system if somebody gets hit by a bus, or somebody is in a massive accident of sorts, or somebody has a slip and fall. We've got a great system for that to get people out of pain, but really we need a better system to help with chronic illnesses. Now, here's the thing. That better system means empowering patients, okay? Not waiting for people to get sick and then go to the hospital or go to the doctor and then look for answers. A real system, a good healthcare system, is one that people don't need. That's what I believe. That's the future that I'm trying to create. If I were health minister, I wouldn't try to figure out how do we get people more health services. I would try to figure out how do we get people less services, because that means they're actually healthy, okay? One thing to also remember is that in order for you to benefit from a cure, you have to have the disease in the first place. So if you're going to benefit from a cure for some obscure type of cancer that they discover, which they haven't yet, right? There's 144 different types of cancer. They haven't discovered a cure for one yet. So when are they going to find the other 143? Well, I don't know. And we're just going to keep making up more names and developing more types of cancer. But in order for you to benefit from that cure, is my point, is you have to have that disease in the first place. So what kind of system is that anyone's trying to build, right? I mean, we're going after the wrong end game. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to develop some sort of crazy disease and then have a solution for it, because you had to live a life that caused the disease in the first place. And with chronic illnesses, many people suffer for up to a decade before they even know what's wrong with them. And then the interventions do nothing to actually fix the problem. So we need a shift. Do you agree? Type in yes if you agree that we need to have some sort of massive overhaul in the system that we have. I also believe that this is set up from the very top down. So if you think about our school system doesn't teach you anything meaningful about health, anything meaningful about wealth, and it doesn't teach you how to grow your own food. So guess what? When you become an adult, you become enslaved by this process. You become a slave to the financial system, to the healthcare system, and you can be fed garbage because you don't know what real food is. I mean, not you, because you're smart, you're awake, but this is what's happening to people, and it all starts from the very beginning. Our system also does not allow doctors to tell their full truth. And here's what I mean by this. A lot of doctors, if they're totally honest with you, will actually tell their patients different advice than what they would give their spouse, okay? This is the sad part of the system that we're in, is that many practitioners give their spouses and children and family members different advice than what they're dispensing through their own office. And so, I believe that we need to overhaul this system. And the best way to do that is for us to become as healthy as possible. And that becomes possible by taking ownership over our health. And so I wanted to share something with you that I haven't really talked about very much, but recently, in just this year actually, I turned 40. And one of my goals was to always retire when I turned 40. And fortunately for me, I've worked my butt off, and I've built up a couple of great businesses. And now I don't have to work, but I love to work, and I love to push this mission forward. So I retired my license. I retired my doctor title. And so what I realized in doing that is that it allows me to stay necessary. It allows me to tell you the absolute truths. It allows me to take the muzzle off that everyone else is wearing because they're afraid of losing their license, or they're afraid of what their board is going to say. I honor my community. I honor my patients. The same advice that I would give to a client, or I don't see patients, but if I were to, I'd give you the exact same advice that I would give my parents, that I would give to a client, that I would give to my son, that I would give to my wife, that I would give to anyone I love. Even someone I didn't love, I would give them the same advice, because that's the right thing to do. And so one of the things I want to tell you is that, I'm here to help you protect your family. I'm here to tell you the things that I would tell anyone that I love and care about, because I love and care about you, and you're part of my tribe, and you're part of my community. So, if your health is your wealth, which I believe it is, then this is an important presentation. And, I want you to become your own best advocate. So, like I said, I'm going to share the secret sauce. So no matter where you are, this is going to be very beneficial for you. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper into this, then just type in "I'm in," so I know you're awake and you're listening and you're tuned in, and let's get started. We have some great information and practical steps that you can take. I could literally stand here and talk to you for 3 days, teaching you all the things that you eventually need to know. But today I'm going to give you 3 things that you can chew on, figuratively and literally, and start feeling better. So the first thing is your personal health paradigm. Okay, so there's 3 things we're going to talk about. The very first thing is your personal health paradigm, and this could also be called your personal health philosophy. So this is the most powerful tool, okay? This determines the questions that you ask, and this also determines the answers that you're willing to accept, okay? Some people are willing to accept answers that I wouldn't be willing to accept, and you probably wouldn't be willing to accept, but that's because of their paradigm, okay? One thing that you have to realize, one thing that we tell all of our patients, is that when you come to our office, you are the boss. Not the doctor, because you're actually paying the doctor. You are the boss. As the client, as the patient, as the consumer, you're the boss. And so one of the things that you have to recognize is that without you, there's no doctor. And so you play a very important, vital role in the healthcare system, and it's important that you get the service that you deserve. If you're waiting to see somebody, that time that you spend with them, you should be able to ask the right questions. You should be able to get the answers you're looking for. Your personal health paradigm also determines if you turn to your medicine cabinet when something is bothering you, or if you look in your fridge when something is bothering you. Where do you turn? Do you turn to your food, or do you turn to medications to manage the symptoms? It also determines if you look at the doctor for answers, or if you look in the mirror for answers. So whenever something goes a different way than I want it to in my life, I never blame anyone else. That's playing victim mentality. What I do is I look in the mirror and I ask myself, what could I have done different? What could I have done better? How could I have loved more? How could I have contributed more? How can I improve myself so I can change that outcome? And that doesn't just apply to health, that applies to every area of your life. Your personal health paradigm also determines if you turn to skills for answers or if you turn to pills for answers. So a simple example would be, changing the skills that you have, such as, your personal hygiene, your sleep hygiene, your movement hygiene, your mindset hygiene. All of these things are skills that you haven't been taught. But if you're looking for pills to micromanage how you feel, to micromanage how you sleep, to micromanage your energy, to micromanage your digestion, then guess what? you're turning to pills instead of turning to skills. So it's really important that you recognize that. Your personal philosophy also determines if you turn to short-term solutions or long-term solutions, if you treat symptoms or if you treat the root causes. It also determines if you delegate your health to somebody else, right? So, we kind of jokingly use this analogy, but sometimes people come to us and they push their file over across the table and they say, fix me. Well, it doesn't work that way, right? You've got to take ownership. You've got to ask, how can we partner together so that I can fix me, so that I can feel my best? Because ultimately the patient determines the outcome, not the doctor. No matter what pills you take, what kind of fancy gadgets your doctor has, what kind of testing your doctor has, you determine the outcome. And so it's very important that you have the right personal philosophy and you point the fingers in the right direction, and you don't delegate your health to somebody else. It's not your taxes, right? Like, your health isn't your taxes. It's not your tax return that you can just hand over the receipts and somebody else is going to fill it all out for you. This is your most important asset, so you've got to treat it that way. People say, oh, my health is worth $1 million, but they don't treat their health that way because their personal philosophy, the sale of their personal philosophy, is not set in the right direction. It's also, super, super crucial to your success. And if you were a car, your personal health philosophy would be the direction that your car is facing in. So if you've got to drive north and your personal philosophy is has got you pointing south, no matter how fast you drive, you're never going to get in the right direction. You're never going to go to the end goal that you're going for. So your personal health philosophy will help you turn that car around and point it in the right direction. So here's a few steps that you can do to really align with your personal health philosophy. So like I said, you have to claim it, right? These are non-bendable rules, okay? So your philosophy doesn't just apply Monday to Friday. It doesn't just apply, when it's convenient. Your personal health philosophy is how you live your life. This is absolutely critical. And this is where, this is how I'm so compliant with everything that I do. It's because this is my personal health philosophy. If I had to drive from point A to point B, and I know that point B is north, I'm going to keep my car facing north. If I know disease is in the other direction, I'm going to go in the opposite direction of disease, okay? I'm not going to travel in the direction of disease because my personal health philosophy determines the direction that I go in. So we ask a different set of questions. You probably know people who are guilty of this, right? People who say one thing and then they do something else. Type in a little like. Let's give these people some love. So show them some love. If you know somebody who says one thing and they do something else, now maybe that could be used. Show yourself a little bit of love, because the goal here is to be compassionate towards yourself. It's not to beat yourself up. It's not to batter yourself. It's to show yourself love and compassion, because that's part of your health philosophy, to love yourself. If you love yourself, you're going to drive your car in the right direction, right? Because your best life lives there. A more advanced step is to write it down, right? So you can write it down. When you write things down, there's something magical that happens. It becomes real. The universe actually recognizes it. So you can say, I will look for the root cause. I will look for long-term solutions. I will ask the right questions. I will look in the mirror when I'm facing hard times instead of pointing the finger at somebody else. I will turn to my refrigerator instead of turning to my medicine cabinet. I will honor my body instead of blaming it if things don't go the way I want them to. I will take full responsibility over my health. These are my personal health philosophies. Yours might be a little bit different, but whatever those are, write those down. Now, this stuff sounds so simple. It sounds so simple that most people don't do it, okay? So write it down and own it. You got to own every single day. This is super vital to your health, okay? Super vital to every area of your life. So this, you might have a health philosophy like I do. You also have a business philosophy. I'm sure you have a family philosophy. Your philosophy and your values have to be held very close to you. Again, not 9 to 5, not Monday to Friday, 24/7, 365, and when it's a leap year, 366. So you got to make it count. Now, the next thing I want you to do is, the next time you have a doctor's appointment, is I want you to have a meaningful conversation with your healthcare provider to make sure that you're both wanting to go in the same direction, okay? So your healthcare provider is a partner. So think of them as a co-driver, not a backseat driver, but a co-driver, right? So they're going to be your co-pilot on this journey. Now, it's important that you both want to go to the same place, right? So if your healthcare provider's health philosophy and paradigm is different than yours, then guess what? You're going to start butting heads. They're going to want to go this way, and you're going to want to go this way, and it's not going to work. So you have to make sure that you're working with somebody who shares the same healthcare philosophy as you do. And yes, we need to partner with people. Yes, some of you need to continue to see your medical doctors or your functional medicine practitioners or your acupuncturists, whoever you're seeing. But what I want you to do is I want you to make sure that they have the same health philosophy as you do. If you do that, then you're going to get so much further, so much faster. So absolutely critical to your vitality. Ask yourself, does your provider teach you skills, or do they just give you pills? Do you feel heard or listened to? Because if you don't, then it's not going to be a very empowering relationship. You've got to be able to speak your truth. That's absolutely critical in your long-term outcomes. And then, are you satisfied with the answers that they give you? Are they looking for the cause of your illness instead of just looking to manage symptoms? Are they playing the long game or the short game? Which one is it? And what is the language that the doctor uses? Does the doctor provide you with hope? Okay. Now, sometimes practitioners, unfortunately, use language which can actually take hope away. And hope is a form of medicine. You only will seek answers and follow through with recommendations if there's hope. If there's no hope for you, or you feel hopeless, guess what? You're not going to do anything, right? Because you've basically got a terminal illness, which is hopelessness. So, a practitioner that empowers you, a practitioner that, gives you hope is absolutely critical. And I'm not saying false hope, right? And I'm not saying somebody who gives you unrealistic timelines. Somebody who gives you real hope, real action steps, and a realistic timeline so that you can work together so that you can feel your absolute best. Now, it's also important that your healthcare provider is a role model, okay? So I'm not saying that they have to have perfect health and a six-pack and all of these things. I mean, that's a little too radical, but they've got to live their part. I want to share a story with you, and I don't know if the story is true, but it's a great metaphor. So there's a mother who brings her young child to see Gandhi. And Gandhi is a famous philosopher and nonviolent proponent, and so he worked with the rest of the Indian people to take the British out of India, and he did that all through nonviolence. And anyway, so people would come to see him from far and wide, and so this lady traveled 2 weeks to bring her son to see Gandhi because he was eating tons of sugar. So the mom said, "Gandhi, can you tell my son to stop eating sugar?" And so Gandhi said, "Okay, come back in 2 weeks." And so she traveled back and came back, and a couple weeks later she comes back, stands in line again, and Gandhi tells the boy, looks him in the eye and says, "I want you to stop eating sugar." The boy says, "Okay." And the mom looks at Gandhi and says, "Why didn't you say this 2 weeks ago? We had to travel all this way to come see you and go all the way home and come back." And he said, 2 weeks ago, I was eating sugar. So the moral of the story is that we can't look somebody in the eye and tell them to do something as healthcare providers if we're not doing it ourselves. So you want to find a practitioner that is living their message, not giving their message, but living their message. And that's why our clinic is called Living Proof, because it holds us accountable. We have to be role models for our patients. We have to lead by example. And certainly I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be, but I do my best. And as a father of an 8-year-old, trust me, I know kids are watching. I know my son's watching every step that I take, every move that I make. As Sting would say, he's watching me. And so I pay very close attention to how I'm role modeling, not just for my family or my community, but also for my patients and, for you that are out there looking for hope and alignment. So, does your practitioner live that part? Do they have the same health philosophy as you do? Because if they do have the same health philosophy as you do, and they're a few steps ahead of you, they can show you the way. But if they're not a few steps ahead of you, or they have a different philosophy, there's no way they can look you in the eye and show you the way. So number 3, when it comes to your personal health philosophy is, is it aligning with your actions? So I want you to ask yourself, the first step was to write it down. The next step was to have a conversation with your doctor, which is a little bit more advanced, but here's a little basic step that you can take. How honest are you with yourself? It becomes really easy when you know where you want to go. So when you put in your GPS where you want to go, you don't get emotional about taking a left turn here, or taking a right turn here, or taking this exit. You don't second guess yourself because you know exactly where you want to go. And so you have to start navigating your life a little bit better if you're not. Okay, if you are, then decision making, as you know, is really, really easy because it aligns with your philosophy. So should I have this piece of junk food? No, because it doesn't align with my philosophy. Should I go to the gym? Yes, but only if it makes you happy, not if it makes you miserable, right? You know, should I go for a walk? Yes, you should go for a walk because it's good for you and it moves your health in the right direction. Should I go to bed early, or should I watch this TV show that I could watch any other time that will probably corrupt my mind? Well, maybe you should go to bed because you know that's better for you and because it aligns with your personal health philosophy. So be gentle with yourself, but also be honest with yourself and start asking yourself, does this behavior align with my personal health philosophy? And if it doesn't, then start changing this. So what most people will tell you, a lot of practitioners will tell you, come see us, we have the best techniques, we have the best service, we have the best this, the best programs, the best testing. Well, here's what I'm here to tell you, is that none of that matters unless your personal health philosophy aligns with their personal health philosophy, and that you're practicing a personal health philosophy even before you go see the practitioner, that you're listening to your intuition, that you're listening, you know, to the words that you've written down. And guess what? Decision making becomes so much easier, and it becomes so much easier to find who to partner with when you've got a clear sense of who your or what your personal health philosophy is. You know, I'm here to tell you that you determine the outcome, not the program, not the testing, not the pills, not the doctor. You determine your outcome, and that's always going to be the case. Okay, that's absolutely always going to be the case. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. You know, you have a beautiful body. It built itself. Two cells came together, one from your mom, one from your dad, and has divided millions and millions of times into the beautiful body that you have. Your body built itself. That's all it knows how to do. If your body wanted to kill itself, which is what the system is trying to tell you, that your body doesn't know what it's doing or it wants to kill you, all it has to do is stop breathing for 4 minutes, and it hasn't done that, right? All your body knows how to do is survive with the best information that you give it. And information comes from here, it comes from here, it comes from here, it comes from here. It's all the sources of information that come into your body. And so you have to align your philosophy with that. Now let's move on to number 2, which is another very overlooked principle. And it could get a little confusing because philosophy is one thing, but the next thing is mindset. And so mindset is another critical principle when it comes to your health. You know, mindset is actually, you know, really the human mind is the most studied intervention in all of scientific history. So if you think about it, every time we do a double-blind random control study, we have to control with a placebo group, because a placebo group is a group of people that will gain a benefit just thinking that they're getting some sort of treatment. Okay? There's also a nocebo effect where people who even get a sugar pill experience side effects because they think that they're supposed to. So the human mind is actually the most studied intervention in all of medical history. In fact, I believe if I'm hoping this happens in my lifetime, it's already happening to those that are awake, but your mind is the most powerful instrument in the entire universe, more powerful than this computer that I'm using, more powerful than, you know, all the spaceships that Elon Musk is building. Your brain is the crown jewel of the cosmos. There's nothing more complicated, more intelligent, more high functioning than the human mind. And we still haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the human mind is capable of. So your mindset is super, super important. It's the most powerful tool that you have. Now, here's how your mindset gets manipulated by big pharma, and why people will actually choose an inferior product when it comes to their health. You know, here's the only thing that big pharma has to convince you of, or anyone, even somebody who's selling you supplements, has to convince you of, that the cure is outside of you. Once you believe that the cure is outside of you instead of inside of you, you will always look for the cure outside of you. So the cure is hiding in plain sight because you're the cure. You're the solution to any problem that comes up, okay? When it comes to chronic health challenges, when it comes to chronic diseases that are created, you know, we don't fight diseases, we just simply have to uncreate them. And when we uncreate diseases, guess what? They go away. You know, people are looking for a cure. The word cure has 2 meanings, right? One, it means to, you know, absolve disease, but cure also means to harden. So I never look for cures. What I look for are solutions. Solutions dissolve diseases away. So you see how your mindset and the words you use can make a huge difference. You know, so people will choose an inferior product through Big Pharma or through GNC, or not even GNC, but I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but they'll choose, inferior solutions because they believe the cure is outside of them and not inside of them. And I'm here to tell you that the cure starts inside of you, not outside of you. The symptom management starts outside of you, but not the cure. Your body's not broken. Your body is super intelligent. You have you're the crown jewel of the cosmos. There's nothing smarter than you than we know of. If a single cell from your body was found in outer space, it would be the greatest discovery of our lifetime. You've got 70 trillion cells that are co-functioning together simultaneously, carrying out 1 septillion functions simultaneously. Today, your heart will beat 100,000 times, so take 23,000 breaths. Whether you like it or not, it's all happening automatically for you. Now, the other thing that you want to realize is that your mind can conceive whatever reality it's willing to accept. Okay, so you can create your future. You can create any future you decide. And an example of this would be, some people are given a terminal illness and they're told the exact day that they're going to die on. And guess what? They die on the exact day that they were told they were going to die on, because they believed it so wholeheartedly with all of their mind, with all of their mind power. They believed that they were going to die on that day. And guess what? The brain did everything possible to make that reality come to life. And the opposite is also true, because if you're going to survive a treatment, if you're going to survive a disease or an illness, it starts by believing that you can survive that illness. It's not by random chance that the fighters fight and the fighters survive. It's because they believe. Now, sometimes the fighters do die, but it's oftentimes because they're being poisoned to death, and that does happen. And I've witnessed that, unfortunately, where people are very healthy and then they go and get pharmaceutical interventions, chemotherapy, things like that, and then they wither away. And of course, nobody ever blames the chemo, for the death. We usually blame, the disease or the cancer, but it's that has to change. And I want you to think of your mind like a computer. This is very important. One of the highest grades I got was computer sciences in school, and I almost debated whether I should be a doctor or a computer engineer, because I love coding. I love coding computers. And what I realized a few years ago is that the mind is the same way. Your mind is just like a blank screen on a computer. If we can code it correctly and tell your body exactly what to do, then we can mobilize this billion-dollar piece of equipment. So if you know how to use a computer and you know how to program it and code it, you can get that computer to do some pretty amazing things. But if you don't know how to use that computer, if you don't know how to code it, then this couple $1,000 piece of equipment is not going to do what you want it to do, and it's going to become very frustrating. So you have to control your mind and the language that you use, and use it as a tool. Unfortunately, our minds have been weaponized against us because of TV commercials, because of advertisements, because of non-truths, such as the cures are outside of you instead of inside of you. People are, think about it this way. We expect somebody in a laboratory 1,000 miles away to cure our illness. How ridiculous is that, right? Tell me how ridiculous that is, that you expect somebody in a lab coat looking in a petri dish in a microscope that they're going to cure your disease. You're going to cure your disease, right? And you can find people to help you, but at the end of the day, it's going to start here. It's going to start with your philosophy, and it's going to start with your mindset. You have to realize this. This is super, super important. Now, just like a computer has active software, so right now I'm using Facebook, so Facebook is up on my computer screen, but in the background, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of processes going on. So we have, two parts of our mind. We have our conscious mind, which I'm using right now to have this conversation with you, and we have our unconscious mind, or our unconscious nervous system, which is regulating my heart rate and my digestion and my circulatory system and my reproductive organs and my detoxification. All of that is happening simultaneously in the background, just like it would be happening on my computer simultaneously, all in the background. So there's things that we can actively control, and there's things that we have to unconsciously work on controlling as well. Now, one thing that affects our nervous system and our mindset is past traumas. Now, this is something that is often overlooked. So one of my, I wish I could call my friend, I don't know him as a friend just yet, but his name is Gabor Mate. And Gabor Mate is a Canadian medical doctor. He wrote an excellent book called When the Body Says No. And he's an addiction expert as well. And in this book, he talks about how trauma can affect the immune system. and how a lot of autoimmune cases are associated with negative past trauma. So it could be sexual abuse, it could be physical abuse, it could be something silly that happened to you as a child, and these things can show up as adults, and guess what? It's unconscious to you. So just like I said, there's a conscious mind and there's an unconscious mind, and you might not even know you have this challenge. So this is why it's important to work with somebody who could help you in this arena. Many times, patients who come to us have broken software. Their software, their operating system is not working the way it's supposed to. And if you could update the software just like you would on your phone, then your phone is going to run more efficiently. Okay, it's going to run faster, it's going to run smoother, and your body's going to do the same thing. So here's a few steps that you can take to improve mindset. One is I want you to become super conscious of your language. I want you to start eliminating words like can't, won't, and don't. Those are the 4-letter swear words in our home. So can't, won't, and don't. Eliminate those words. I want you to change I should do this to I must do this. So instead of saying I should eat healthy, yeah, well, everyone should eat healthy, change that to I must eat healthy. I should exercise to I must exercise. I should go to bed early to I must go to bed early. You know, most people are shoulding all over themselves. It's time that you add emphasis to the things that are important in your life, and you're going to reap some amazing benefits. I also want you to change if you feel like you've tried everything. You know, we hear that all the time. We do free discovery calls in our office, and patients will say, well, I've tried everything. So you're just like, well, why are you on this call then? Because you're unconsciously sabotaging yourself, and you've already convinced yourself that nothing can work for you. How could you have tried everything? That's absolutely impossible. So you want to change I've tried everything to I haven't found what's working for me, or I'm still looking for a solution. See how much more liberating and empowering and attractive that is versus saying I've tried everything? Because when you say I've tried everything, you shut down all possibilities at a conscious and unconscious level. But most people don't even realize they're saying this. They don't realize how that code is actually sabotaging them. And so it's important that you recognize that. And it's important that you do something about it. So change the words that you're using. Now, because this is an unconscious pattern, you're going to have to work with somebody on this. So if you're married or you work with other people or you're working with a practitioner, then make sure that you're paying attention to your unconscious language. Now, I want you to also give people permission who love you and care for you, and I want them to give you permission as well. So this is a two-way street, because if you can both improve your mindset and your language consciously and unconsciously, that's going to go a long way. Words are very, very powerful. I can use words to change somebody's physiology. I can use words to change your biochemistry. I can use words that will release cortisol in your bloodstream or release endorphins in your bloodstream. So, words are extremely, extremely powerful. And, I believe that the English language is purposely ambiguous because it's a very confusing language. If you've ever tried to teach somebody English, it's a very, very poorly semantically coded language. And so it's important that you use the words that you use are very, very carefully chosen. Now, step number 2, this is a bit more advanced, but if you've had trauma, then, abuse as a child, or if you had a traumatic upbringing, then I suggest that you see a holistic hypnotherapist. We actually have one on our team, but if you are experiencing these things, you'll never get better unless you deal with these things and reframe these events in your life. Sometimes what happens is people will blame themselves for traumatic events, and they haven't forgiven what's happened. And I understand that can be difficult under certain circumstances, but until that happens, the body never really heals. As I mentioned, Gabor Mate wrote a book called When the Body Says No, and he's got many, many case studies in there, so I suggest that you take a look at that. But if you're looking to really heal deeply and you've had some past trauma, then a holistic hypnotherapist on our team, her name is Jillian, someone like that can help you retrace and rewrite the operating system. We can literally go in there and rewrite that code that is no longer serving you. And when you do that, then you're going to experience almost instantaneous, immediate relief, right? So if I change the code in my computer, it doesn't take months for it to work better. It instantaneously works better, right? So things can happen very quickly when you approach the right steps and you take the right action steps. So, that's important to understand. Now, first we talked about your philosophy. Now we're talking about mindset. So I want to use a simple analogy. So Your philosophy is the direction that your car is facing in. Your mindset is the steering wheel. So you might be heading north, but you're constantly going to be kind of adjusting course a little bit, okay? And you're not going to be turning around 180. You're going to be adjusting just a few degrees every so often, and you're going to stay that course. And by keeping that course, you know, at the top of your awareness, you're going to get there eventually. So you want to make sure that you're fine-tuning your language, fine-tuning your mindset, and you're going to get much better results as this. And the sooner you can do this, the sooner you can write down your personal philosophy, the sooner you can become hyper-conscious of the words that you choose, the sooner you can start feeling better and immediately start moving in the right direction. You know, sometimes patients are like kids. They're always asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And what do the parents say? Not yet, but we're on our way. Okay, so you're not going to get there overnight, right? You might not wake up tomorrow. You might, some of you might wake up and feel amazing because you feel empowered and you feel like, oh my God, I haven't been doing any of this stuff and this is all a great opportunity for me. But you have to stay the path. Okay, you have to trust that your navigation system is going to steer you in the right direction, and I promise it will. So you have to have a realistic goal, which most of you do, but you also have to have a realistic timeline. This is where people get a little messed up, is they have a realistic goal with an unrealistic timeline. So all I'm asking is have a realistic goal and timeline and have the right mindset and the right philosophy, and some amazing things will happen, okay? Now, I know if you're still on this call, you're probably wondering, what's the fastest way that I could start feeling better? Well, I'm about to tell you what the fastest way I know is. So in addition to your philosophy and your mindset, the fastest way for you to start getting better is to start incorporating lifestyle and functional medicine. And I say lifestyle first because lifestyle is 80% of the solution. This is the most powerful healthcare system that I'm aware of. Okay, and here's the thing, I'm the founder and CEO of my company. If I find something more powerful, guess what? I incorporate it. So over the last 7 years, we've been continuously refining and tweaking and upgrading our process so that we can deliver the absolute best results based on the latest research, but also based on ancient knowledge and information. So what functional medicine does and lifestyle medicine does is it works in collaboration with the patient, where there's a synergistic partnership. You know, you're working together with the patient. The patient isn't just delegating their health away to you. The doctor isn't delegating the health then away to pills. You know, we're working on helping patients acquire skills. We're listening to their concerns. We're looking at their entire life history. We're giving them empowerment strategies. We're focusing on lifestyle first instead of giving them pills to manage their problems. You know, just because you give somebody a supplement, it doesn't make you any different than a doctor that gives you pills to manage symptoms, right? There's a supplement for every symptom that somebody has. That to me isn't healthcare. That isn't a sustainable long-term strategy. Now, sometimes you can use these things temporarily. Like if I need to reset somebody's sleep cycle, yeah, I might give them some melatonin or some L-theanine, but that's temporary. And it doesn't replace a skill. They still have to, you know, manage their light during the day. They still have to try to get morning, evening, and midday sun. They've still got to stay active. They've got to turn off their TVs and their computers, you know, 2 hours before bed. I mean, you still have to do those things. So, and the pills can help, but it's not the long-term solution. So I want to be very clear about that, because we get a lot of people that see other functional medicine practitioners that come to our office, and they come in with a garbage bag full of stuff. They don't even know why they're taking half of this stuff, first of all. And what we discover is that they were just being, you know, pilled, you know, with green medicine. And to me, that's not real healthcare. Real healthcare is a synergistic partnership with the patient that incorporates 80% lifestyle and 20% therapeutic interventions. It's important that patients are empowered, that you're empowered. And here's the other thing with functional medicine, is that it does not replace your family doctor. Okay, so we're not competing against your family doctor. If you were to come see us, or I can't speak for anybody else, but if you were to come see us, we're not competing with your family doctor. We're not trying to take that role away from them, because that's an important role. We're not looking to treat acute illnesses. We're not trying to manage your symptoms. We're going to take the same problem and look at it through a different lens. So think of it this way. If your house burns down, you call the fire, or is burning down, you call the fire department, and they're going to do whatever they can to try to make sure that they save as much of your house as possible. But guess what? When they leave, your house is going to be annihilated because of all the water damage, the fire damage, all of those things that have taken place. Now, here's the thing. You don't call the fire department the next day to fix your house, right? You call a handyman or a carpenter or an architect to redesign that house, and then you take precautions so that house doesn't burn down again because you love it and you value it. So that's important for you to recognize as well. And so we work in collaboration with your PCP, just like a carpenter and a firefighter can work together to save your house and then also to rebuild it in a way that's more suitable for you and also ensure that it doesn't burn down again. Now, here's the other thing with functional medicine that I love, is it allows us to identify certain root causes of inflammation, of stress, of toxicity, of deficiency using laboratory analysis. So how is this different than the laboratory analysis your doctors would use? Well, big difference. You know, a functional medicine practitioner is going to look for toxicity, deficiency, sufficiency, function, versus looking for end-stage diseases. Testing is going to look for, you know, cellular biochemistry. It's going to look at what's going on inside your body, the things that you can't necessarily articulate. So think of it this way: if you were buying a car, you would take that car for a drive. You would open up the hood. You know, you would understand better how it functions versus just looking at a picture of it and buying the car, right? Unless it's a brand new car. If it's a used car, and let's say you take it to the mechanic, you're going to want them to open up the hood. You're going to want them to, you know, look inside the engine a little bit to see what's going on the inside. You know, if the damage is so bad that you can see it on the outside, which is kind of traditional diagnostic testing, well, that's pretty late in the game. We want to identify these things much earlier in the process. So here's 3 things that you can do if you're working with a functional medicine practitioner. One is you want to take full responsibility over your health. When you take full responsibility, you have full control. That's the thing. Full responsibility equals full control. If you take partial responsibility, you only have partial control, and sometimes that means no control if you take no responsibility. So this is Empowerment 101. 80 to 90% of chronic diseases are lifestyle induced. So you always want to work with somebody who emphasizes lifestyle. Number 2 is you want to take control of your nervous system. So your nervous system is, is super, super important. It regulates all the functions in your body. And in fact, for those of you that stick around to the end, I've actually got a very special report that I'm going to send to you. And in this report, I'm going to show you 6 ways that you can improve your digestion in the next 6 meals. So in less than 2 or 3 days, you're going to start feeling amazing improvements in your digestive function. Most diseases start in the digestive system. When we can get your nervous system and your digestive system working optimally, you're going to start seeing some amazing results. I mean, how many of you know somebody who eats super healthy but still has, you know, crappy digestion? And how many of you know somebody who eats like crap and has amazing digestion? They have no complaints, they have no pain, they have no issues. And a lot of it has to do with their nervous system. The nervous system is not working properly in these individuals that are eating healthy and not feeling good. You'll see this all the time. I mean, some of the people that we see in our office are some of the most strictest, most neurotic eaters you'll ever meet, but their nervous system is just so primed up. So instead of changing what you eat, I'm going to change how you eat. And when I change how you eat, then what you eat still matters, but it's not going to matter as much. And that's not giving you permission to eat unhealthy, but I want you to realize that how you eat trumps what you eat. Because if you're eating under immense amounts of stress, if you're eating while you're driving in the car, if you're standing up and walking around and eating, if you're not chewing your food properly, what you eat is not going to get digested properly. So you're not going to reap the full benefits from it. Now, number 3 is, you know, if you're doing your part, if you feel like, you know, listen, I'm sleeping on time, I'm eating healthy, my stress is not that high, I love my job, you know, my husband or my wife are awesome, I haven't had any past traumas, or maybe I have had some past traumas, but I feel like I'm doing everything that I can and I'm still not seeing results, that's when you go see, you know, someone like us. That's when you might want to come into the office or might want to call the office for a free consultation so that we could see if these are the right next steps for you. But, you know, get a thorough history no matter who you see. You know, our intake form is 46 pages, so we take a very thorough history with our patients. You know, don't discount the small things. The details, you know, the devil's in the details, as they say. So everything is important. And also, you want to have an open, healthy relationship with whoever you work with. Okay, so if you're going to go the functional medicine route, make sure you do your due diligence. And so here's the thing. we want to bring all of this full circle. So the first thing we talked about was your personal philosophy. That's the direction your car is going in. The next thing we talked about is your mindset. Your mindset is the steering wheel you're gonna fine tune as you're driving in the right direction. And then functional medicine and lifestyle medicine is how you drive that car and how that car is functioning, okay? So if you're driving that car and you're off-roading it, then there's a problem. Or if you're falling asleep at the wheel, then that's a problem, okay? If you're swerving in and out, you're slamming on the brakes, then that's a problem. Or if you take a deeper look and your engine doesn't have enough oil, or you're using the wrong type of fuel, or your spark plugs aren't working, or your shocks need to be replaced, sometimes we need someone to evaluate these things for us so we can start feeling better. So we talked about directionality, we talked about fine-tuning as you're driving in that direction, and we talked about driving carefully and following the rules of the road, but also making sure that you're moving in the right direction and all your parts are working the way they're supposed to. So, I want to leave you with this. I want to remind you that our primary objective in our office is to teach people how to stay out of our office. So that's what we do. That's what we focus on. That's our mantra. How do we keep as many people out of our office, but how do we keep these people healthy? How do we give them the tools, the resources, and information that they need so that they can get healthy? And like I said, it's your personal philosophy, your mindset, and the functioning of your body and the responsibility levels that you take. I also mentioned that I'm going to give you a free report. So this report is to improve your digestion. And this report is going to be phenomenal because it's going to give you some really, really easy, practical steps that you can take. No pills, no supplements. It's completely free. So none of the steps are going to cost you any money for you to do. And I want to prove to you that there's a greater potential that lies within you that you can unlock if you can control your nervous system, your mindset, your philosophy, get these things in alignment and become the absolute best doctor that you can be. Now, this report is going to be available to you. There's going to be a link that my team is going to share, so you can click on that and you can you can get that report. I also want to encourage you, if you enjoyed this, please share this because there's so many people that need to hear this information. There's millions and millions and millions of people that are suffering needlessly and they don't know what they can do because they've concluded that they have to delegate their health to somebody else. So what they're busy doing is they're busy trying to find the best doctor. They're busy trying to find somebody in their network. They're busy trying to find someone that they can afford. And all this time is being wasted on how to find somebody else to fix them instead of them learning how to fix themselves. So my commitment to this group, my commitment to all of you is that I'm going to continue sharing this information. I'm going to continue spreading this message. I'm going to keep helping you learn and teach you how to be the best doctor possible so that you can live your absolute best life, the life that you deserve, the life that you want to role model for your kids or your grandkids or your community, whatever the case may be. So please share this. I want to encourage you to share this with as many people as you can. And I'm going to leave you with this really short story. So when I first started working out, I still remember walking into the gym at McMaster University. And at McMaster University, I went in and I saw all this equipment. I had no idea what all this equipment was for. It was my first time in a gym like that. And so what I did is I said, well, how the hell am I going to learn how to work out? And so what I did was I found the biggest guy in the gym and I just started following everything that he was doing. And a year goes by and I put on some weight. I was getting stronger. But then one morning I woke up and I really couldn't raise my arm. And I just ignored it. I just kept going, pushed through the pain, pushed through the discomfort. And then one day I couldn't even raise my arm over my head. I was just in debilitating pain. So I went to the doctor and the doctor prescribed me Advil. And she said, hey, you've got a shoulder impingement. Take 2 of these and you'll feel better. Take them about a half an hour before your workout. So that's exactly what I did. I took them a half an hour before my workout. And guess what? I didn't feel any pain. And then I woke up and I had super sharp stabbing pain. This was a few months later. The problem had gotten consistently worse over time. And the medications weren't working anymore. And then I learned from a shoulder expert that I was working out wrong the entire time. So sometimes we do what we think is right. Sometimes we do what other people are doing because we think that's the right thing to do. Sometimes we work through the pain because we feel like there's supposed to be pain. I'm exercising. And sometimes we use medications to mask our problems because we love doing it, right? I loved working out. Like if I didn't love working out, I would have just stopped, right? But I loved it, and I was looking for a quick fix, a quick solution. And now that I'm 40, I still remember it took me a couple of years to rehab my shoulder. Now that I'm 40, I'm stronger than I was at 20, and I have absolutely no pain in my shoulders because I found someone to help me get the right answer. So sometimes you're going to need to find somebody, but don't wait until you can't raise your arm over your head in order to be able to do that. So thank you for being here today. I hope you found this information extremely valuable, and I hope that you share this. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. But before I do that, I actually need to get my charger for my computer because I only have 6% battery, and I see there's a lot of questions here. But in the meantime, post any questions that you have, and my team is going to share that link where you can get that free report. And if you enjoy what you heard today, I would love your feedback and comments so that other people will see that. Other people will see the comments, and it'll encourage them to actually watch the video. So just give me one moment as I go and grab my charger, and I will be right back. But keep those comments, keep that love coming. I love you all. This has been very helpful, I hope, to many of you. I hope it empowers you. I hope it encourages you to look a little bit differently at yourself when you look in the mirror. You're a beautiful creation of this universe, and you deserve the absolute best life possible. And I'm hoping that I can play a small role in that, empowering you with information like this. So bear with me one moment. I will be right back. All right, here we go. I'm back. Thank you, Belinda. Thank you, Sonia and Lynn and Kalpana Parth. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Tara and Els and Felicia. Thank you. Appreciate that. Christine, thank you. Monica, thank you. Belinda says practical information. Just takes a mindset, yes, and a belief, right? You have to believe that you can get better. And if you believe that you can get better, then you're halfway there. You're actually 90% there because that's really where it starts. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. George, thank you, brother. Thanks for joining us. And Rosie says, excellent information. I hope all of you are sharing this. If you could do me a favor and share this, then more people will see it and benefit from it. If you have any questions, then I would love to hear those questions. I'll take a couple for the sake of time. And once again, thank you all for being here. This is awesome. I love all the feedback. Isabella, thank you. I'm very grateful for you as well. Razia says, thank you very much. Great information. And I believe we have to understand that this is the way of life and not a short-term solution. Yes, this is a long-term solution. Ariana, thank you. We need more of you. Yes, well, we need more of you. We need more of you in your healthiest possible state. So thank you for that. And Mary Beth is asking, how can I help others if I don't have medical credentials? So great question. There's actually, depending on the capacity in which you want to work in this field, here's the thing. If the doctor of the future is the patient, then I believe that the solutions have to be very simple. The solutions at the end stage, right, at the last like 10, 15, maybe 20% in some cases are going to be doctor-required interventions, but most of this is going to be lifestyle. You know, we have this amazing body. You know, the whole system is set up to convince us that this technology doesn't work. This is the best technology that's ever existed, and the only technology that I'm aware of that can heal you. You know, one of the latest forms of intervention right now is stem cell therapy. Well, guess what? Your body makes stem cells. In fact, last week I did a 5-day fasting mimicking diet, and on days 4 and 5, my body is releasing stem cells into every organ and tissue and literally regenerating my body from the inside out. So we know that the body has this capability, and now the science is catching up to actually prove it, that we have this capability and unlocking this capability. So functional and lifestyle medicine does just that. It empowers you, and it gives you practical, very cost-effective, long-term solutions. If you're looking to work with patients and you're not a healthcare provider, so let's say you're not a chiropractor or a medical doctor or a naturopathic doctor, there is a program called Functional Diagnostic Nutritionist, and this program is run by a friend of mine, actually, Reed Hartman. You can send me a personal message. I'll send you more information about it, because you can actually become an FDN provider. And as an FDN provider, you can coach patients through lifestyle interventions, many of the things that we talked about today, and more advanced things, obviously. But you can also order testing on patients through another licensed provider. So you would essentially partner with a practitioner, and you would be able to order the testing through their license, and they would coach you through the results as well. So that's the fastest path. And in fact, I've even had naturopaths and chiropractors and other medical doctors that I train go through that training and said it was some of the best training that they've ever had. So that gives you a lot of tools and armor to work with, Mary Beth. So if you're interested, then please let me know. Georgianne, the name of our location in Cincinnati is called the Living Proof Institute, and we're located at 9078 Union Center Boulevard in Westchester. So 9078 Union Center Boulevard in Westchester. It's called the Living Proof Institute. And my partner, Dr. Jared, runs that clinic, and he's just a brainiac. So he actually is our clinical head, and he just recently won Doctor of the Year for his neurology training that he does. And he's he's a savant. He's just absolutely brilliant guy. Morella saying video is interrupting. I'm sorry about that. And then Harish Uncle, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. And thank you. Allah says great information. Thank you, Allah. I appreciate it. I have good mentors like you to help me. Selena, thanks for that. And Selena's done the fasting mimicking diet. That was awesome for her. Inderjeet, we don't have any presence in India, but hey, I'm coming to India in January, so maybe we can talk about that. Annette, we do have somebody in Australia, so if you message me, I can connect you with somebody that I've trained. Her name is Dr. Josephine Baird, and she's in Melbourne, Australia, so happy to help you there. Lauren says that I was diagnosed with aggressive RA and told I would need to be on meds my whole life. I turned to functional medicine and have seen great results without meds. My knees have been acting up since July. I don't want permanently damaged joints, but I also want to take medication unnecessarily. How do I know if it's time for medication? Lauren, I don't know what you had done, but one of the things that we find helps with RA is actually fasting. So, if you can do it, if your system enables you to do it, I would talk to your doctor to see if a fasting mimicking diet is right for you, or even a water fast is right for you. Certainly, a lot of people who have RA will be put on a autoimmune paleo diet. I would suggest going vegan for 2 weeks and seeing how you feel. Sometimes cutting out those proteins can be very helpful. If you're concerned about muscle wastage, then you can take amino acids. So this, I don't want to consult you here on this Facebook Live, but there's lots of things that you can do. And I would also run a GI map stool test. So that's a stool test that does a DNA analysis of your microbiome to look for stealth infections. Typically, in people who have RA, there's certain types of stealth infections that will make them more prone to RA. So you definitely want to rule those stealth infections out. The test is called GI map. It's done by a company called Diagnostic Solutions Laboratory. So I hope that helps. And then another thing that helps with RA is proteolytic enzymes. There's a lot of research that's come out of Europe for a product called Wobenzym. And there's other proteolytic enzymes that you can take, but these enzymes will basically remove waste proteins and cellular waste products that accumulate, and that can help the joint heal faster as well. So I would definitely look into those different options, and you can always private message me, and I'm happy to see what's been done and make some recommendations to take back to your doctor if you feel like that's appropriate. Okay. Amina says, what do you recommend for people who have a hard time sticking by ideas, plans, etc., once they have their mindset to them? Well, it's pretty easy once you have your mindset, right? And you have to attach, whatever your goal is, you have to attach it to something bigger. So when you put an address in your navigation system, you're not just going to that location. Let's say you want to find a way to go to your sister's house, or your brother's house, or your child's house. Well, the navigation is going to get you there, right? But you're not going to get to that location. You're going there to meet somebody. There's a higher purpose to the journey. So you really have to find what that higher purpose is. For me, my higher purpose is, for example, that I want to travel the world. I want to spread this message as far and as wide as I possibly can to as many people as I can. And I know that's going to involve me traveling. I know that's going to involve me being healthy. I know that's going to involve me being able to, endure the stressors that come with that. So in order for me to be able to do that bigger mission, I've got to be resilient. I've got to have good health. I have to have good vitality. And in order for me to have that, I have to have my personal health philosophy in alignment, and I have to practice what I preach. And so that's what keeps me obedient to my goals, okay? Because the goal is attached to something much bigger. Okay. Razia says, I'm taking the FBN course thanks to you since you recommended it to me. I'm so grateful and appreciative. Yeah, so Mary Beth, maybe you can connect with Razia who's taking that course. Carol says, thank you. Susan, thank you very much. Sarah says, Sachin, you're on armor. How do you armor yourself against a myriad of environmental challenges and daily pressures of modern life and stay positive? Okay, so one of the things that I do to stay positive is I have a very nurturing environment. And so I spend lots of time in nature. In fact, my wife and I went for about a 45-minute walk earlier today. I spend time outside in the sun as much as I can. I live on a ravine now. I recently moved from a condo, so that's been a huge upgrade in my space. And I understand something about myself that most people don't have the privilege to. So I've had some extensive genomic testing. And so one of the things that I learned about myself is I have great detoxification. Some people don't, so they're not as resilient to the toxic impact of the world that we live in. I also have very poor emotional imprinting. And it's actually a good thing because I don't take things personally. So if somebody challenges me or if somebody says something rude, which happens, by the way, like believe it or not, you wouldn't believe how rude some people can be and how inconsiderate they can be, but it's water off my back. I really don't care. I find it entertaining, actually. So all of us are wired a little bit differently, and how we handle our environments are going to be a little bit different as well. So, I'm blessed with great genes. I thank my mom and dad, and I'm also blessed with the ability to be very conscious of my environment. So if you haven't had genomic testing done, then I might consider that because that can be very helpful and give you some insights to work with. Doris, anyone trained in Burbank? Yes, we do have some practitioners in California, so please reach out to me and I'll be sure to get back to you. How do I feel about black cumin seed oil? I think depending on what you're using it for, it can be excellent. Okay. Again, I want you to think big picture. I want you to think mindset, philosophy, environment, all the other things that we're talking about in addition to that. Okay. So supplements can be great, but they're just that, they're a supplement, right? I think of our lifestyle like the walls in our home, right? And I think of supplements like the paint on the wall or the decorations on the wall. So if I want to build a house, that's going to start with the lifestyle variables and the factors and all the things that I can do for myself. Taking a supplement happens after I've built the house because it's like you can't hang a painting up if there's no wall there. So you've got to make sure that those things are in place. All right, let me see. So there's lots of feedback coming in. So let me see what I should do here. Beth saying the ebook looks awesome. I hope people comment here and get a copy. Yeah, so if you want a copy of that book, then I would certainly make a note of it. You can say something like, get me my book, or there'll be a link that we'll be posting, but it won't be active, I believe, until after we get off here. Amina says, thank you. How do I get the ebook? Mary Beth will make sure that you'll get that to you. Sonia says, I'm interested in genome testing. Sonia, you can certainly message me and we'll be sure that we can help you out with that. And the recommended genomic testing that we use is done by a company called the DNA Company. Fantastic company. I'm actually on the board of advisors, so full disclosure, but they do some amazing work. And through this, we've been able to identify certain genomic characteristics that are just mind-blowing. So we've been able to help people who were diagnosed with autism who actually didn't have autism. They had a triad of genes that were causing autism-like symptoms, and within a few weeks, their autism symptoms, or quote-unquote autism symptoms, completely went away. We can look at steroid and hormone pathways. We can look at behavioral genomics. So one of the projects I'm working on right now is actually testing entrepreneurs and getting their genomics tested to see if entrepreneurs have specific genetic characteristics that can be groomed from a very early age. Most entrepreneurs are labeled as troublemakers. They're labeled as ADD or ADHD as children, so they're vilified, and unfortunately, they're not treated the same. And then they find out when they're 40 that they were entrepreneurs all along, and now they're very successful. But if we can groom this from a very young age, we can do some pretty cool things. I've had my entire test. My son and I have very similar genetics. He might look like my wife, so he kind of lucked out in the looks department, but he has my genes, so he lucked out in the genes department. So yeah, so we'll get those ebooks to everybody. Yeah, if you comment here, then we'll get that over to you guys. So my team is working hard to get those ebooks over to you. So just type in "I want the ebook," and we'll make sure we get it to you. Okay. There's like so many comments that are coming in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for just a couple more minutes. If anyone's got some pressing questions, then please feel free to send those questions over. We're going to be doing more of these. Again, if you like this information, please share it. I truly appreciate that. It helps us spread the message, get the word out, so more and more people can benefit from this information. That would be the only favor that I ask of you. If you want the ebook, then just type in "ebook please," and I'll make sure that our team members get that off to you. We have lots of positive feedback coming in. So once again, I thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. You are part of me. I am part of you. And now this information lives on through you. So please be sure to spread it. But before you spread it, make sure you live it. So with that being said, I wish you all an amazing evening or morning, depending on where in the world you are. Have an amazing rest of your day, and sleep tight. If it's bedtime for you, get a good night's rest, and let's start tomorrow off on an amazing foot. You have the tools and resources that you need, and once again, thank you very much.